I did my work this week. Woo! And baby, I just got paid. Gonna go buy me a fresh pair of Gators with some of this money that I made. Male waiters on the radio singing about the whiskey. I think I'll go by the stove to get me a bottle so I can be ready to get my groove on the dance floor. Baby, baby, it's Friday. It's Friday, baby. And I'm gonna party and get my groove on. Get my groove on. It's Friday, baby. Oh, and I'm gonna party to the break.
4 NFL teams, 2 conference championship games, and only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Not a new customer? You can feel the conference championship thrills with step-up same-game parlays. Take your shot at an even bigger NFL payout and boost your winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code SOTS. New customers can bet just $5 on the conference championships and get $200 in free bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the promo code SOTS. You have to be 21 plus to enter and officially residing in Louisiana. And if you know someone with a gambling problem, crisis counseling is available by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. $200 in free bets valid, 1 per new customer. Minimum $5 deposit, minimum $5 bet, promo code required. $200 issued as free bets that expires 7 days, 168 hours after being awarded. Free bets must be wagered one time and stakes is not included in any or winnings. Step up same game parlays. One step up same game parlay token issued per eligible NFL playoff game. After opt-in, minimum $1 bet, max bet limit apply. Minimum 3 legs each. Leg minimum. Minus 300 odds, total bet plus 100 odds or longer. Profits boost up to 100%. 10 plus legs for 100% boost. Promotional offer period ends 2/12/23 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
Offer the Saints a second-round pick. Give him this year a second-round pick, and get this thing done. Let's go.
Well, and that's
what you get, or else because Sean Payton's not going to get another job.
No, he's not. He's not.
You have a second-round pick this year. It's almost like a first-rounder, and that's it. Like, here's my offer to you: second-round pick, or we're hiring somebody else. Take it or leave it. And I'm giving you 3 seconds to decide yes or no. Because if that's not good enough for you, we will hire Brian Flores or somebody else. I don't care what money you pay Payton. I don't care if it's 15, 20, 20. I don't care what the money is. I don't want to give up a first-round pick, but I'll give up a second. I mean, he's a great coach. He won a Super Bowl. He's got 9 playoff wins under his belt. He'll do wonders for Kyler Murray. I'm sure Monty Ossenfort's not worried about working with them. I mean, he's got connections here from being a ball boy that he's talked about. Go get it done. You're having lunch with him right now. Call up New Orleans. But you draw a line in the sand. You draw a line in the sand. Here's what I'm willing to give you. If not, then you don't get anything. Like, you get nothing.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And you're probably wondering why I'm talking the way that I'm talking right now. It's because for some apparent reason, every sports podcaster and broadcaster who has a show always seems to talk in this cadence, especially when they feel they're talking about something that everybody wants to hear. Why do everybody talk like that? Why does everybody feel that when they're showing passion, they have to use this cadence in order to get their point across? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know. Why does this guy act like the Saints are the most desperate team in the league? I don't know. If you're just tuning in and you're wondering why, TJ, why are you talking like this? Why are you acting this way? It's because apparently, no matter if you're doing radio on the West Coast or doing radio on the East Coast, you're going to sound like this. And it's extremely annoying. But I get what dude's saying. Man, how y'all doing, man? Why do everybody do that, though? Why does everybody have that same cadence? Like, is that like, I don't know, that's like the Stephen A. Smith cadence or something like that. I told you before, when it comes to the New York Knicks, nobody knows the New York Knicks like Stephen A. Smith. Like, come on, man. What are we doing, man? Why everybody talk like that? I mean, come on, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got the best team in the league. You got the best quarterback in the league. Why? Like, come on, man. But look, on this edition, we're going to be talking about head coach Sean Payton. And why is he still out there? Why is he still on the street? Everybody thought that Sean Payton would have had a job by now, right? I thought he would have a job. You thought he would have a job. It was just a foregone conclusion. We up here talking about first round picks, top 5 picks. But it just seems like to me that the talks are starting to die down. Why is this? Why? I have absolutely no idea. The only thing that I can think of is what I've been saying, and I'm sounding like a broken record, but it just seems like to me people feel that they can find a Sean Payton in a new, young, hungry coach. And look, I don't think that this has anything to do with, Sean Payton's availability. I don't think it has anything to do with his ego or anything like that. I just think that it's a big commitment, hiring a guy who wants between $20 to $25 million. And when you look at Sean Payton's resume, even though it is impressive, there's only one Super Bowl on his resume. And I know somebody is going to go out there. They probably seen Jeff Duncan's tweet. Well, look at all the other coaches out here that are great. They only got one Super Bowl. That is true. I can't take that away. But at the same time, when you look at guys like Sean McVay, when you look at guys like Brian Daboll, when you look at guys like Kevin O'Connell, I keep saying this, young guys that you can win with, that you can build a team with, guys that are more offensively innovative, that fits the modern day NFL quarterback. And you have these older coaches that have to conform versus the new coaches that come in knowing exactly what they need to do because they are more abreast to the modern day quarterback. Sean Payton, in my opinion, I think he's going to end up going back to TV. Now, I could be wrong. There was a report, and we seen TMZ style. Who does this? Like, who does this for a football coach interview? I never seen, like, seriously, I've heard about coaches that left teams to go and coach other teams, but I ain't never seen people standing outside trying to hide in garbage cans, trying to get the coach and the owner walking out. I ain't never seen that. I mean, they got Sean Payton all that Ruby Tuesdays and stuff. Like who cares? Like, did the dude get the job or not? Like, did he get a job How is this going to benefit the New Orleans Saints? Because who that nation, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care where he goes. I don't care. What I care about is the compensation. Sean Payton ain't coming back, and Sean Payton, as a coach, can't benefit the New Orleans Saints. This is the only way he can benefit this team, is by going out here before his contract is up and finding himself a suitor. That's about it. So I can care less what he ate. I can care less what was on the menu. I don't care if he had the soup or the salad. I don't care. What I care about is run me that draft pick. I don't know what the Saints are going to do, right? I don't know. I don't know what the Saints, I don't know what they're going to do, but I do know this. Sean Payton needs to find something. And if he doesn't, I don't feel bad for the Saints. I don't feel bad for the New Orleans Saints because they put themselves in this position. They put themselves in this position. And I don't feel bad about it because if you are going to roll the dice, sometimes you crap out. And right now it's looking like the Saints crapped out, right? Looked like they went to Vegas, put it all on black, and they crapped out. But now, what are you going to do about it? You got a second round pick. What are you picking, number 40, if I'm not mistaken? Figure out what you're going to do, because as of right now, that's your top draft pick, unless Sean Payton finds a job. And, you know, there were some reports that came out, and I apologize. I was actually going to have this report up here, but I kind of ran into something out here at the station before I came and went live. But there was a report that came out that said that there was a power struggle, or a potential power struggle, that could happen between Sean Payton and the Broncos organization. Now, Sean Payton quoted the tweet and basically said that the story was false. But this may be one of those situations where Sean Payton feels like he should have a lot of hand. Like he feels like he should have a hand in the day-to-day operations and how the team is ran. So, but once again, why would I want to hire you, paying you $20 to $25 million, and having you have almost complete control of my organization when I can find somebody that's just like you, right? You know, like, so I don't know. Like, there's still some teams out there, you know, shouts out to the Miko Ryans. You know, it seemed like to me like he's going to find himself as a head coach, rather it be the Texans or the Broncos. Well-deserved. Brian Flores is still out there, you know, and being interviewed. He might wind up landing one of these head coaching jobs. And Sean Payton may be on the eye man, you know, the eye man looking in. Because here's the thing, man. I think the media is responsible for this. That's right. I really do. I feel like the media, not everybody, you know who you are. You know who I'm talking to. You know who I'm talking to. There are a lot of those talking heads out here that gassed up Sean Payton and had Sean Payton and probably his representation believing that he was probably going to be the most well-touted thing since Ricky Williams came up out of college, out of the University of Texas, or like Andrew Luck or something like that. Thought he was going to be the Andrew Luck of head coaching. When you start putting that stuff in the media cycle over and over again, if you're constantly watching television, you're going to believe this hype. And if you look at it, look, I tell people I like Sean Payton a lot, but Sean Payton isn't that much different from Mike McCarthy to me. Like, seriously, like, people look at Mike McCarthy as a lame duck coach, and you look at Sean Payton, oh, he's supposed to be like the best thing since sliced toast bread. They both have one Super Bowl to their name. They both have 60% winning percentage. And I really honestly feel like coaches are looking at that type of stuff. Now, people can create these narratives, and I'm with you. Oh, the New Orleans Saints were a snake-bitten franchise before Sean Payton got here. He won more playoff games than any of the head coaches combined. All that is true, but at the same time, what did it result in? You had a legendary quarterback that was elite, multi-time Pro Bowler, first ballot Hall of Fame, and you only got one Super Bowl to your freaking name. I don't feel like there's much of a difference. You know, I really don't. And I think that these owners out here feel the same exact way. Like that, let's not, like, I feel like people want to elevate Sean Payton, and I get why you're doing it. But let's just call a spade a spade. There were a lot of times here on the State of the Saints podcast, we can run this joint back. There was a lot of times on the State of the Saints podcast, people were mad at Sean Payton because of his arrogance, because of the play calling, because of him, second guessing himself down the stretch. We have all been through this and we have all talked about this, and it'll be wrong and it would be hypocrisy of the highest order if we were to just act as if we didn't say these things before. Like, seriously. So maybe they're looking at it that way. I don't know. But all I know is we know that the media can gas some people up and make individuals believe in their own hype. Sean Payton is a really good coach, great coach, but at the same time, there is a youth movement going on in NFL, and owners are starting to hire guys for the most part that are young, offensive-minded guys, right? And you ain't got to sit up here and pay these guys an arm and a leg in order for them to coach your team. Because make no mistake about it, if you're asking for $20 to $25 million, you better win a Super Bowl for that franchise. It's Super Bowl or bust. It's Super Bowl or bust. If you can't win a Super Bowl for that franchise, it is a bust. And guys got to make sure that when they hire you, they got the right guy. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of these teams are looking. If you're talking about Russell Wilson in Denver, Russell Wilson was good for the most part throughout his career, but he ain't Drew Brees. If the Arizona Cardinals hire Sean Payton to help coach Kyler Murray on his best day will never be Drew Brees. So you had one of the best of the modern era at the quarterback position, and you were only able to produce one Super Bowl. And I think they're taking that into account, especially when you're talking about money, because when you're at the negotiating table, folks, nobody is going to big up you. Nobody's going to big up you. Have you ever been through a contract negotiation? Have you ever had to do some contractual work? They are not sitting up in there singing your praises. They are basically maximizing your limitations in order for them to create leverage for themselves to lowball you. So you don't think that when coaches are talking with owners and the owners are talking to the coach's representation, you don't think they're bringing that kind of stuff up? Maybe they're not bringing it up to the coach because the coaches, they have agents just like players. And a lot of the agents, they try to withhold the information from those guys because they don't want them to be in the room when they're talking about their shortcomings. So when you look at it, maybe that plays a huge role into why Sean Payton is still out there on the street. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe Sean Payton is just weighing his options, and maybe Sean Payton, like a fine woman or a handsome guy, they're weighing their options, right? They want to be courted, they want to be wined and dined, if you will. Maybe that's what he want to do. Maybe he wants everybody to sing his praises. Maybe he knows what he wants to do in the end, but he just wants to feel appreciated. Some people just want to make that victory tour to hear how great they are. Oh, you come in and you bring your offense, and we know for a fact you can turn this organization around. Oh, you're so great. You're so wonderful. That's what they want to hear. But in the back of their mind, they know what they want to do. But regardless, time is winding up, right? Like Frank Reich is in Carolina, right? I mean, LaFleur, he's the new offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. Sean McVay is deciding that he wants to come back. You got D'Amico Ryans in the final as one of the final contestants on the hit series, the Denver Broncos, and he's also a front runner for the Houston Texans. So, and then the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know what the heck going on around there. I don't know what's going on, but that option is open as well. All I'm saying is this: time is winding up, and he's going to have to figure it out. And I just think that the more you sit up here and maybe want to parade yourself around like you Miss America, more people are like, man, we can find somebody, man. But I don't agree with what this dude is saying. The guy from Arizona, like, oh man, like the Saints are desperate. The Saints are desperate. Sean, like, bring Sean here. Like, nah, bro, we ain't working like that, right? I don't know what the heck he talking about. The Saints aren't that desperate, right? I mean, like we've been through this situation before. The Saints have not had first round picks in the past. I don't know what the heck he talking about. Like the Saints just somewhere sweating, like, oh, please take him. Like I don't get that vibe from them. First off, they're too full of themselves to even be in this position. Like this is the same team. This is the same team that is arrogant enough. The cojones. They got the cojones big enough to tell each and every one of us as fans, forget about what you talking about. We gonna run this same boring operation back again. And we don't care how y'all feel about it. So you think that this organization cares about the Arizona Cardinals coming there and trying to play hardball with them? Like, seriously. Like, there's not a, like, unless you like a, one of them delusional fans or them fans that just feel like your fandom is conjoined by decisions on the team, no matter if they're bad or good. Every Saints fan, for the most part, it has low morale, including myself, when it comes to this team and the future of it, based on who they have as a coach, as an offensive coordinator, and some of the pieces that they have in place, most importantly, at the quarterback position. So if they don't care what we think, why in the world would they care about what the Arizona Cardinals think? And why would they care if the Arizona Cardinals called them up and said, take it or leave it? Like, they're that arrogant, and they're so arrogant, they'll probably just say, we'll leave it. So I don't know who you think they're dealing with. But once again, you got teams that offense wasn't as remotely bad as the Saints offense was in 2022, and they get new offensive coordinators. Mike LaFleur did not deserve to be fired by the Jets. The Jets offense was pretty doggone good. This man had Mike White out there, like the guy with the most plainest name that you can find. Like that's up there with John Doe, Joe Smith. Like that. I mean, that's plain. Mike White is out there, throwing for 300 yards. And they fired this dude to bring in Nathaniel Hackett, who couldn't hack it and couldn't even survive an entire year. But I can respect the fact that they tried to make changes. But the Saints, I mean, the audacity of these guys, man, like they do not care about us at all. So why in the world would they care about the Arizona Cardinals? Like trying to put their foot to the fire. That's just not going to work. All right, so let me go ahead and read some of your comments. He's still on the street because nobody wants to pay the asking price for him in monetary compensation or draft picks and money to the Saints. Sean Payton will serve out his contract with Fox. Well, I tell you what, Barbara, you got a good point there because, once again, why would I want to pay you $20 million a year when I can find a coach, once again, that can do the same thing you're doing, and I can pay them less? You sound like Joe Clark. You smoke crack, don't you? Then jump. You smoke crack, don't you? Don't you hear me, boy? Don't you smoke crack? Yes, sir. Don't you know what it does to you, boy? It kills your brain cells, son. It kills your brain cells. If you want to do it expeditiously. Go ahead, jump. I don't want to jump, sir. I'm going to go back on my word. Just one last time. But you do one more thing, you're out of here. Yep. Give us our picks, or he's back to Fox. Too much drama for me. Yeah, exactly. For the next few minutes, I will be reading comments in the voice of Joe Clark. True words, TJ. Jump. Slim. Saints crapped out, and there's no line of credit left without those draft picks for Sean Payton. 2023, everybody from Mickey down to Carmichael may be gone in 2024. Well, I'll tell you what, boy, if they don't get their act together, they out of here. Gonna be like when Joe Clark had that assembly. Y'all remember that? And he had like everybody in school that was a troublemaker and stuff like that. And he was like, well, since you're not gonna graduate anyway, you are all expurgated. And I wish you farewell, homeboy. Homeboy skip school. Hey, the craziest part about that is, I know, look, I know this is a sports show, but the craziest part about that is you had that one dude. Okay, y'all remember the one that came back to school with the knife. So they all get pulled off stage. And hey, did y'all realize that one of those security guards was Candyman? Did y'all realize that? The one that blew the kiss at the guys? Did y'all realize that was Candyman? But I digress. But y'all see, like the guy he was grabbing off the stage, he was like, I'm about to go to the Air Force. Like, how the hell are you gonna go to the Air Force and you miss all them days of school? I'm just wondering, like, the Air Force is like them, the Air Force and the Navy are like the Harvard and Yale of the military. I'm not the smartest man in the world, but don't you supposed to go to school for that? But you cutting school, selling drugs? Like, you really think you're going to go to the Air Force? That part always tripped me out. Like, not going to happen, man. But anyway, they said one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. Well, Saints Brad's been smoking crack since last season. You smoke crack, don't you? Morgan Freeman hosting the State of the Saints podcast. At this point, Payton take Cardinals' job is his best bet. They used to call me Crazy Joe. Now they can call me Batman. I got hustlers, dealers, all in my school. I might watch Lito OB this weekend. Hey, please do. Timeless classic right there. Timeless classic. But anyway, man, let's get back to the talk, man. We talking Sean Payton here. Somebody should have told Sean Payton, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what they got till it's gone. He wants money and power, which he had in. Thank you, Derek. That's the biggest thing about it. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, is going to give you the type of cachet. Nobody's going to give you that type of pull that the New Orleans Saints gave you, because once again, and I say this constantly on this show, the Saints ownership still a wide-eyed and bushy tails, sweating to the oldies like Richard Simmons because of what these guys did back in 2009. These guys have complete autonomy because of this right there. 2009, giving the Saints something they never had is the reason why they are still here. They're able to make dumb decisions, relatively smart decisions, average decisions. It's the reason why. And Sean Payton would have been a lifer. Seriously, Sean Payton would have been a lifer. Sean Payton probably would have been like Joe Paterno or something like that when it came to the Saints, and they would have allowed him to be there that long. How many teams have you seen tell a coach, well, you can take a sabbatical? Huh? That tells you everything you need to know right here. The moves that this organization's front office makes is arrogant and is of a person that has tenure. And that's the reason why we're in this position. That's why they don't care. Because nobody's going to hold their foot to the fire. Ain't nobody going to raise their eyebrows and wonder what the heck is going on. If this was a fan base, a rabid fan base like the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys, or these teams, don't matter if they win in 12 games, 13 games, they'll get you up out of there. If it was like one of those organizations, there's nowhere in the world Dennis Allen they would have rolled that boy back, or Pete Carmichael. And if they would have rolled back Dennis Allen, they would definitely wouldn't have rolled back Pete Carmichael. But it's too much buddy going on here. It's too much hold hands in a circle and singing Kumbaya for me. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. I don't have to sit up here and sugarcoat it. I ain't got to be in the locker room. I ain't got to kiss and make up and kiss nobody behind. What these guys are is very, very simple. They are guys who have this mind frame because nobody holds their foot to the fire. Because everybody thinking with them 2009 sunglasses on, walking out championship circle, and they got that statue of Tom Benson out there holding that Lombardi, and that's good enough for them. Oh, they brought us a Lombardi trophy. Well, that was eons ago, right? That was a long time ago. And these guys are moving like they won that championship last week. And it's going to continue to be like that, folks. So strap in. Strap in, man. Like, strap in. That's all I want to know. Telling you, strap in. The landlord, thank you very much for $5, says, I just got an eviction notice from my landlord who's been harassing me. I'm going to be gone for a minute. I'll see y'all in my SOTS family soon. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Josh. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Hope everything works out for you, man. That sucks. But hopefully everything works out for you, man. We'll be here when you get back. David says, I'm in the Air Force and can confirm we certainly aren't the Harvard or Yale of anything, but we're definitely better than the Navy. And throwing shots. Nah, seriously, man. No, right, you okay. David is being modest here. There's a certain score you got to have on an ASVAB test. And there are certain things that you have to do in order for you to get there. So don't sell yourself short, brother. And shouts out to my brother-in-law James, you know what I'm saying, who's stationed in Bahrain right now. You know, shouts out to him. If he runs across this video, shouts out to you, man. But he's in the Navy. But man, you don't sell yourself short, man. Y'all definitely the Harvards and the Yale of the military. Anybody will tell you that. Maybe you don't know that, but y'all looked at it in very high regard. And shouts out to my homeboy James Sturgis too. Shouts out to my boy, he in the Air Force too. I feel the same way about Loomis. He's not going anywhere. Who's going to fire him? Gail? She don't have a backbone. Look, Asa, I say this before. Let's get off Miss Gail, okay? Let's get off her. Like let's get off her because it's very, very simple. She inherited this team. It's not like she made a bid once, you know, the late great Tom Benson passed away. She was handed this team, you know, as the heir apparent, right? She don't know that much about, you know, the ins and outs. Towards the latter years of Tom Benson's life, he started to like bring her to like the owners' meetings and stuff like that to try to get her abreast of what's going on. But I'm looking at guys like Dennis Lauscher, right? That was like Tom Benson's right-hand man. That's the right-hand man of Gail right now. He's the guy in the Saints trust, like some of those other guys that's in the office. They're the ones that got to hold these dudes' foot to the fire. But how can you hold a guy's foot to the fire if, you know, oh, man, we lost today? Yeah, we lost. But, hey, man, you want to come over to my house, man? My wife is making steak. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have some pork chop. We're gonna hit 18 holes. Like, look, too much buddy stuff going on for my liking, all right? How can you really hold a guy accountable if you playing bridge with him on Saturday night? Spade games, poker games. Like, what are we doing here, huh? I mean, come on, man. Like, how can you really hold a guy accountable? That's the reason why, honestly, Sean Payton kept them guys around so long that couldn't coach defense with a no coaching defense self, right? He had all his homeboys there, you know what I'm saying, allowing the New Orleans Saints to get beat deep, couldn't get no turnovers, couldn't sack a quarterback, couldn't tackle a mat problem, couldn't catch a cab in New York City. They were terrible, right? And he kept all these dudes around and basically completely just messed up Drew Brees' prime. Like the teams that the Saints had from 2017 to 2020 were the teams that they should have had around 2013. You know, that's the teams that they should have had. But instead, he kept all them boys around, right? All the Bill Johnsons of the world and all them other guys out there that were just around and basically just taking up space and couldn't coach defense for nothing, right? Should have been went out there and got himself another defensive coordinator. But instead, he kept them same dudes around. And it cost him year after year after year. And Drew Brees got older and older, and the arm strength started to diminish. And when the Saints finally started getting the defense, Drew Brees couldn't really compensate, for he had limitations. And there were certain things that he could not do. So too much buddy stuff going on for me. Like too many second chances when they shouldn't have these second chances. Like you cannot have the buddy system. All right. There's only one buddy system I've ever seen that work, and that was Buddy Tees when he was coaching Tulane. Right. And he had he had a little song, Buddy is the man. Buddy, that's the only one. Okay. That's the only buddy system that worked. And maybe, Buddy Ryan back in the day, he had a buddy system that worked. But this buddy system that's working in New Orleans, it ain't working for me. Right. I used to like this song, Buddy is man. I feel the same way about Loomis. I already read that. It's like the Haynesville Golden Tornado head coaching job that the Franklins think is to be passed down from father to son. Yeah, man. Yeah, look, all that nepotism stuff, you ain't winning nothing with that. TJ, for the love of me, someone please explain why nobody talks about Andy Reid 10 AFC, NFC title games but one ring. Because he wins. Because he gets there. Like the Saints and Sean Payton, what they got to 3 NFC championship games, right? 2006, 2009, 2018. I mean, Andy Reid went to 9. That's insane. Like that is freaking insane for you to even get to that point. There are times where you can talk about Andy Reid not making a Super Bowl, but his team's in the playoffs. They go to playoffs though. They ain't going 7-9. They ain't going 8-8. They ain't going 6-10. I'm talking about before they actually added the extra game. They ain't, in this case, they ain't going 7-10. He getting there, and he's winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting to the playoffs. There are times where the Saints didn't make the playoffs. You got Drew Brees. There were times where the Green Bay Packers didn't make the playoffs. You got Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Andy Reid was out there and then another thing, why you can't look at Andy Reid different. Andy Reid went to the playoffs with the following. He went with Donovan McNabb. He went with Kevin Kolb, right? You know what I'm saying? He won some game with Kevin Kolb. Got Kevin Kolb paid by the Houston Texans. Mr. Pick Six himself. People want to talk about Jameis Winston. No, Matt Schaub was Mr. Pick Six. All right, that was Pick Six shorty right there. All right, he had McNabb. He had Kevin Kolb. Got him paid. Got Michael Vick. Made him comeback player of the year. Got him paid. Right. All right. Then you know what I'm saying? Then you move on. Then you have Alex Smith. Right. You know what I'm saying? Got him to the playoffs. Right. Until Patrick Mahomes came, and now the rest is history. So all I'm saying is it's beyond. It's beyond just, having one guy. Sean Payton is like his calling card, even though he has won games, and I got to give him credit. He's won games with Taysom. He's won games with Jameis. He's, he won game with Teddy B. But all I'm saying is when you look at Andy Reid's track record and what he has done for the quarterback position, not only did he elevate it, but he made those quarterbacks the best quarterbacks in the league. Patrick Mahomes, NFL MVP. Michael Vick, comeback player of the year, was a runner-up for the MVP. Donovan McNabb, runner-up for the MVP. Once again, Kevin Kolb, as trash as he was, got that man paid big money for the Houston Texans. So that's the reason why you look at a guy like Andy Reid and you're like, man, Andy Reid. I see, you know what I'm saying? That's a good point. Now, Sydney, that's a valid point that you're making. All I'm saying is when we can't judge you on winning, okay, let's just say if you are winning, we can't judge you based on your coaching because it's immaculate. How do we spin it off? Well, Andy Reid may not have won many Super Bowls, but he was on the brink of winning Super Bowls. And like I said, he has elevated the quarterback position no matter who he had as his quarterback. So with that alone, I think that he's going to get more credit than that. And honestly, I think the only thing, Sydney, that separates Sean Payton from Mike McCarthy is personality. You give Sean Payton's personality to Mike McCarthy, I don't think people would have this they wouldn't have this mind frame about it. I just don't. I just think that Sean Payton, the reason he separates himself is by his personality. He has a big personality. He's a guy that, look, he's always going viral. He's dancing in the locker room. He's sweeping the locker room. He's wearing Jordans. He's getting slimed by Nickelodeon. He has all these hot takes about what the quarterbacks need to do to get better now that he's an analyst. So he's transitioned, to the media world, and people like him because he's an open book and he doesn't shy away from his opinions. 2009 was a long time ago. I didn't have kids and I had hair back then. I got the Blu-ray DVD of the season 2, but dang, I want another one before my kids graduate high school. Don't we all? Yeah, you can argue that 2009 not even a modern era anymore in the NFL. So much has changed since then. That's a good point. Good old boy system, and Mickey don't fear the owner that sleeps at the wheel. TJ, is Sean being a diva? Sean been a diva. Come on, man. We know, this ain't nothing we don't already know, King Arthur. We already know Sean Payton is a diva. He's been a diva, always been a diva, will always be a diva. That's what he was. That's who he is. And hey, he's always been that way. So we shouldn't feel like he should be any other way now that he's being courted. What a diva do when he gets the most attention? He tries to get even more when you give him attention. My son is a Navy man. He's a computer specialist working on a missile guidance system. Blew the ASVAB away. Exactly. You can't be no dummy rolling up in the Navy and the Army. Well, not Army or the Air Force, Navy or Air Force. No disrespect to the Army or anything like that. But like I said, or the Marines. but they look at the Air Force and the Navy in a different light when it comes to like, the armed forces. Everybody gets on Payton and McCarthy, but Andy Reid got 10 AFC, NFC titles, only one Super Bowl. If they overrated, then what is Reid? Yeah, like I said, Sydney, I think he's done a lot more, and the reason why says I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying too, and that's a fair point. Like I want you to like that's an argument to have, and I would love to hear somebody else's opinion based on that. So Sean will love developing Kyler. I agree with that. I waited 10 years for season tickets, and this is the team I get. Call me crazy, but I will renew. Who that for life? Well, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Look, I understand how people feel, and shouts out to my guy Big Q, because I feel what he's saying. We, in ways like if you feel like it's necessary to boycott, I say boycott, right? I mean, you ain't got like if they're not trying to do right by you, you shouldn't try to do right by them. It's only fair, but I'm not going to tell people like not to go to the games if they, compelled to go to the games. But I definitely understand the frustration of fans everywhere, and then we should like have our voices be heard. I mean, good to have season tickets, but man, we need a product that we feel like can give us a better chance of winning. Like, we don't want hope and faith just to be two ladies that we know, right? Like how it used to be. Andy Reid completely flipped the Chiefs into a perennial playoff contender after 2 seasons. The Chiefs haven't missed the playoffs since Andy Reid has been there, I believe. No, they never have. They never have. And this was before, like, I think the first, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Castle may have been his first quarterback, and they went to the playoffs. Like, that's before they got Alex Smith, I think. I could be wrong, man. I have to go back and check that. But I don't know I think Alex Smith may have came the year later. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Shannon is getting in Andy Reid league now. Good point. Sean Payton is magnetic. I agree with that. As far as quarterback guru, Shanahan is getting in Andy Reid league. Yeah, I agree with that. Kyle Shanahan is a really good coach. Really good coach. Need to win something, but really good coach. Sean Payton is a Bill Walsh, Air Coryell type play caller, straight legendary. I agree with that. Bill Walsh, that's a stretch. Don Coryell, I agree with. Okay, I feel like he's more Don Coryell than Bill Walsh. Now, the only thing is, of course, Sean runs a variation of the West Coast offense. I mean, Bill Walsh is the godfather of the West Coast offense, right? So I can understand that, but I feel like he's more Don Coryell than Bill Walsh, because I mean, Bill Walsh would hand the ball off to Roger Craig every now and then, all right? Don Coryell, I mean, he was looking for Kellen Winslow and Stallworth and all them boys out there, man. He was just trying to throw that thing out there with Dan Fouts. So, yeah. I feel bad for Don Coryell because he never won a Super Bowl. And I feel bad because he kind of lost in the football sands of time. But he was just as good as all those other coaches. Just couldn't get over the hump because of, playing in the AFC, and always losing them big games, man. Like one time, I think they ran into the Miami Dolphins with Don Shula, young Dan Marino. Feel bad for the man. And Andy Reid did all that stuff while seeing Javon Belcher blow his head off at the facility, his son dying, and his other son getting locked up. Well, that's awful, man. Like I said, he's overcome a whole lot of stuff, man. And I ain't never heard nobody ever say anything bad about Andy Reid. I ain't never seen that. I ain't never heard anybody say anything negative about Andy Reid. Everybody that meets Andy Reid, talks about Andy Reid, always talks about him glowingly. So, dude's a great coach. I want to play for a guy like Andy Reid. I appreciate Payton for what he did for the franchise, but I blame Payton for the state of the Saints. I like that little second. I like that right there. I like that, man. Let's see. This is the time when he really should have been coaching. Yeah, I agree. Like coach the team. Anybody can coach a team when things going good, right? But when it's all doom and gloom, then you dip. You know, I do have a level of resentment for that because you can say what you want to say about Belichick, say what you want to say about Tomlin, say what you want to say about Harbaugh, but when they start to transition to more darker times as coaches, they didn't quit, right? I mean, Mike Tomlin had Ben Roethlisberger all those years, and yet he's still trying to figure it out with Kenny Pickett. Belichick had Brady all those years. He's trying to figure it out with Mac Jones. You know, like, I mean, you have John Harbaugh, you know, had Flacco. You know, they won a Super Bowl. Say what you want to say about Flacco. Had all those legendary defenses. But now you're trying to figure it out with Lamar Jackson and trying to bring those guys back to prominence again. Meanwhile, Sean Payton, you know, Drew Brees retires. He leaves. Then all of a sudden, you know, in comes Jameis Winston. He played pretty good, tears his ACL. Then all of a sudden you go through a little bit of hardship, and now all of a sudden, you know, I think it's time for me to step down and giving out, you know, brisket, I don't know, biscuits or whatever they call them, you know, like he Tom Lasco or whatever the guy's name is. And all of a sudden, like he supposed to be sent off like, you know, like he the best thing since sliced toast bread. But in the back of his mind, he trying to finesse his way to Miami. Like, what kind of stuff is that? Like, I feel, I don't care what anybody says, like, the dude turned his back on the team. Seriously. Like, the dude turned his back on the city. And, you know, he was willing to make people believe that he was just burnt out. But you wasn't burnt out enough to have, you know, some back channel conversations with the Miami Dolphins and trying to meet on yachts and try to collude with Tom Brady to get to Miami. Like, I can't get down with it. That's why I want to like, people like, you know, worry about Sean Payton this, Sean Payton that. Man, I just want the Saints to completely be, you know, absolved of this guy. Like, not to say that I don't appreciate what Sean Payton did for the Saints. I mean, he did great things, and he's a legendary coach. But at the same time, man, I feel like, bruh, like, anybody can be with a team when things going good. But how are you when things are going bad? Like, how are you going to be able to weather the storm? That's the part of Sean Payton, I'm sorry, that I can't get down with. And that's the part where, you know, I get mad at members of the media. And all jokes aside, like when they be trying to cover this stuff up and trying to make people feel like it wasn't what it was, because it was. That's exactly what it was. Well, I'm not sure. I don't know where people got this stuff from. Man, you know where we got it from. Because you're hearing the same things. But of course, I can't say too many bad things about him. I can't critique Sean Payton because Sean Payton agent or Sean Payton representation won't give me no interviews no more. They won't allow me to get some inside scoops no more. Like, I ain't about to be running around after nobody, right? If I'm out here looking bad, somebody tell me I'm looking bad. If somebody saying I'm doing something down bad dirty, tell me I'm doing something down bad dirty. Don't pretend like I'm not doing it. Like, don't be trying to, like, don't try to manipulate the masses because it's working in your best interest. Like, if that's the way you gotta operate, man, then maybe you need to operate somewhere else. That is a fact. They got so many sources that said, and they even mentioning this on the national scale when they talk about Sean Payton. Everybody talk about how he tried to get to Miami, but nobody seems to be talking about that. You know, oh, it's not true. Like, yes, it is. So, but I can say stuff like that because I'm not at the mercy of Sean Payton's handlers. So, as far as quarterback guru Shanahan, already read that. Let me scroll down a little bit. Says, I used to say it wouldn't happen, but now I believe Payton is hustling with Jones to get to Dallas a year from now so he can go for free. Well, I don't know if that's the case either. I think he wants to go to another team, and I think he wants to do right by the Saints. I really do. I think he wants to do right by the Saints, but you know, I don't like the underhanded tactics that go on. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that. Nobody's giving up that much for a coach, even if it's Sean Payton, Panthers fan, says DJ Moore. Yeah, I mean, why would you? If you can find a coach that's right for your team, that can get the job done, why would you do that? I wouldn't. I don't care who it is. What's the thoughts on Michael Thomas, number 13, leaving or staying what could we get in trade value, or do we just cut bait? I think you just cut bait, man. Honestly, I just think you cut bait. You're not getting much for Michael Thomas. A guy ain't playing almost 3 seasons. As good as he is, man, I mean, basically all we got right now is memories of 2019. We had 149 receptions and 1,700 yards. Ever since then, I mean, it's been bad luck after bad luck after bad luck coming from Ken Go and Mike. So I just think that you have to cut your losses it's going to have to be like one of them contracts where it's incentive-related lace deal, where, you get hurt. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like we can void this contract. If you don't play, you void this contract. So it's probably going to be like one of them things where you're just going to have to cut bait. But nobody's going to make a trade for Michael Thomas. Like a guy that hasn't played in 3 years, what you getting for that? Probably get a 5th or a 6th round pick for it. And Michael Thomas is much more than a 5th or a 6th round pick. I don't care if he got hurt or not. Like anybody, y'all can talk about, he always hurt, he ain't playing, but everybody in this room right now, right? That's in this chat. Everybody that's, that's listening, no matter where you are, you believe that Michael Thomas is much more than a 5th round pick, even when he's hurt. So you might have to just cut your losses if you can't come to a conclusion with him. Maybe you just hit the main issue, TJ. I'm sure what you're talking about with Sean Payton and the Dolphins came up in his interviews. Yeah, like when we can't sugarcoat this. Based on that and based on how the Saints are looking, if you're owner, if you're a general manager, Sean Payton in the back of your mind can be considered a quitter. And, and you have to wonder to yourself, like, how committed are you going to be to my team? Like, what's going to happen, like, when you get tired of coaching this team? Are you going to try to finesse or try to get yourself back to TV? How fully committed are you to this? So guys are going to have to ask those tough questions. Like, do you really want to coach? Like, do you really want to coach this team? Are you really going to show commitment to this team? Or, you're going to be worried about, in so many words, you're going to be worried about your reputation and, how are you going to be perceived if you can't turn things around the way that you feel like. So, and like I said, man, like you can say what you want to say. You can talk about fatigue and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying, like, if it's about fatigue, why are we hearing about you going to Miami? So basically you look disingenuous, if you want to be honest, and you also look dishonest because you said you tried to chunk it up to mental health and fatigue, but at the same time, you trying to find your way to Miami with Tom Brady. So it just seemed like to me like you just want a better hand, right? You ain't like the hand that you was dealt, so you want to try to throw your cards back in or let everybody see them, so everybody be forced to like say, "Oh man, let's just shuffle the deck again." So, like the way that it can be presented, he can look as if he's a quitter, and that can turn a lot of people off. Now Peyton is out here finding out the grass ain't green on the other side, and also you got to keep in mind, man, these owners talk. These owners talk. And not only do they talk to other owners, they talk to other people within the organization. So they know stuff that we are not privy to knowing. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't get the honor and the privilege. Like we get the watered down, great value type information. But what's really going on in these circles, they get it. So maybe it's something that we not even privy to. You know what I'm saying? Privy of knowing. Like it's just one of those things. So, but like I said, based on the information, like you tell me what it is. Like somebody smacking their lips right now, probably mad at me saying this, but you tell me what this is, all right? You lose your star legendary quarterback, right? And in 1 year's time, you leave and you have this press conference and you say that you just decide to step down. You trying to focus on your mental health and, you trying to, get yourself together and all that kind of stuff. Now I don't have no aspirations of coaching. That's what you said. I ain't got no, at least not right now. And I may be back, but at the same time, you're saying all these things, but look at these back channels. You know what I'm saying? I'm hearing about you and Tom Brady on a boat. You know what I'm saying? With, and all that kind of stuff with Brian Flores. Like, so what's all this about? So if your mental health, like That's the biggest thing. If your mental health was the most important thing to you, then why am I hearing about you going to Miami? And why is it that now you're really starting to hear this from the national media when they're talking about Sean Payton and Sean Payton's representation, Sean Payton's agents, Sean Payton himself isn't coming out here saying the Miami story isn't true. Why are you saying it? Because you said it when it came to the Broncos, when somebody tweeted, oh, there's a power struggle between Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, didn't you? You came out there and said, oh, that ain't true. But the Miami Dolphins situation is true. I mean, I ain't got no choice. Like, it seemed like to me that it has to be true. You didn't come out here and nip the story in the bud, and you have some very respectable media personalities saying this in their dialogue about Sean Payton now. So obviously there's some validity behind it. So in my eyes, if there's some validity behind it, you lied. You were dishonest. You were dishonest to the Who Dat Nation. You were dishonest to the Saints organization because you chunked it up to fatigue, right? And then on top of that, if you were so fatigued, when they gave you the option of taking a sabbatical, why didn't you take it? See, none of this stuff makes sense to me. None of this stuff should make sense to you. Like, if you peel back the layers, if Gail Benson, like, if you really wanted to be somewhere, right? You really you want to be there. You committed to it, right? And somebody say, I'm really committed to this, but I'm tired. And somebody tells you, hey, like, I know you're tired. I'll tell you what, take some time off, and then you can come back and we'll just pick up where you left off. When you take it, like, if you really want to be somewhere, if you really want to be committed to it, like, man, we got to stop. Like, we got to stop being delusional and naive about this situation. Dude didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be here, folks. And I have these conversations with people that's trying, man, he was tired. Man, he wanted a mental health break. Man, he just wanted to do something different. He wanted to prove to himself he wanted to be on TV and he could make it work, man. Meanwhile, he having back channel conversations with Miami. Knock it off. Like, it's amazing to me how people will allow narratives to work in their mind, but they don't go through the files. Like, what in the world are you doing? Like, it just don't make sense whatsoever. And like I said, this has nothing to do with Sean Payton as a coach of the Saints at all. And what he has done for this team, what he has done for the organization, what he has instilled in us as fans, a sense of pride in his team, it has nothing to do with that. But there's this old saying. I'm gonna use the PG version. Don't pee in the air and tell me it's raining. Like, don't tell me that you want to be here so bad. Like, knock it off. Knock it off, man. Who cares if he quit? That's his decision to make. People need to get out their feelings and move on. I hate to say it inevitable, but that's the type of mind frame that I'm talking about right here. I have no problem about him quitting. I have no problem with it. But that type of mind frame is why the Saints are in the same position that they're in right now, because we just allow these situations just to roll off us and we don't hold this team accountable at all. Like, we just Saints fans. Oh, the team gonna do what's in the best interest. They do what's in the best interest of them for the most part. They ain't thinking about us for the most part. They're not thinking about us. They're not. They're gonna do what's best for them. And this mind frame about, oh man, who cares? I care. As a fan, I care, because I'm being told by other people, and I'm sorry, that, oh, it's not the way that it is. He really wanted to be here. He was just mentally burnt out. That's a lie. That's not true. He may have been mentally burnt out, but he wasn't as mentally burnt out to a point where he wouldn't want to coach again. So if that's not the case, then that's being dishonest. And like I said, when we have this type of mind frame, like, who cares? I care. As a person that takes a lot of pride in what they do. When I get behind this microphone and I talk and I say things, I'm not trying to sit up here and be disingenuous, and I'm not trying to do something for my best interest. So when people say stuff like that, yeah, that's a slap in the face, because you have a lot of people out here that do care, inevitable. They do care. And when they take these people word for it. They're trusting these people, giving them the right information, but it's not the right information. That's my whole point. I get it, man. We care, like I say, I care because you have a lot of people out here that don't understand and just take these guys' word for it. I refuse to do that because that's not right. And it just does not make any sense. As far as him coaching another team, I can care less. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, he can go there. You know what I'm saying? Like, just run me my draft picks. I don't care about that. But don't make it seem like, oh, it was just such a tough decision for me. And maybe it was a little tough, you know, leaving somewhere that you've been there for 15, 16 years, but it wasn't that tough if you out here having back channel conversation and was going to be willing, you know what I'm saying, to step aside and go to Miami with Tom Brady, you know? So he can't go to Miami if he had a mental health issue. He can't enjoy life. I'm confused. What's confusing about this? What is confusing about this? I don't know if you just got here or not, or maybe you just, you know, being a contrarian. I don't understand what you're trying to what are you trying to prove here? He can't go to Miami, and if he have a mental health issue, you're saying that you're not coaching again due to mental health issues. You're taking a step, you're stepping away because of mental health issues, is what I'm saying. Right? You know, like you're basically saying almost to a point that your mental health issues is one of the reasons that is prohibiting you from becoming a head coach and continuing your obligation as the Saints head coach. And then on top of that, how does this make sense? You're right. You can have mental health issues in Miami. Yes, you can. Like if you want to deal with your mental health issues, but at the same time, you're contractually obligated to New Orleans Saints. So if you're going to have mental health issues with the Saints, I mean, the Dolphins, you should be you can go there. You're contractually obligated to the Saints. So don't say that you have mental issues or it's prohibiting you to coach if, you know what I'm saying, like it ain't the case. And you're willing to go to Miami and deal with those issues. That's all I'm saying. Like that's the point that I'm making. So I don't know what the world that was about, but I know how it goes sometimes. When people start making too much sense, there's always somebody that tries to detract that. You know, too many amens. I guess you need somebody that's like that makes absolutely no sense. But anyway, Mickey and Sean being friends really complicate everything. I just think that we should dwell on what we can't change, TJ. I agree with that inevitable. He says, I care more about the buffoons we replaced him with rather than going with Doug Peterson and Brian Daboll, both of which we interviewed. Inevitable, you're absolutely right. I have no problem with that. What you're saying is absolutely true. All I'm saying, like, what I'm saying right now, I'm saying it because it's relevant to what's going on right now. There's nothing that we can change about this inevitable. I agree with you on that. He's not coming back. He's not going to be the Saints head coach. So the best thing for us to do is to try to find a way where we can be compensated as an organization to get something in return because of how great he was for the team. I agree with that. But at the same time, like I said, as a member of the media, as a podcast, as a broadcaster, I take a lot of pride in giving people the actual factuals to the best of my ability. And I can never understand how can somebody try to lose the trust of the masses or could threaten to lose the trust of the masses just because they worried about their own self-interest. I'm not doing it. I don't feel like anybody should do that. You have obligation to the people, and I feel like you should be telling them the truth. And if you don't know, you don't know. But don't try to make it out like it's not what it is when there are several sources and people that can validate this. I mean, Brian Flores got fired for a reason. Brian Flores sued the NFL for a reason. So I'm going to read a few more, then we're going to get up out of here, folks. Saints need to trade Sean Payton and clean house, or at the very least, get an identity outside of Sean Payton. I absolutely agree with that. Definitely need to get identity outside of that. Sean backdoor moves, why Cam Jordan injury got looked at bad. Man, I think nobody has signed Sean yet. Is because Loomis saying staying strong on the first round picks. Teams don't want to pay Sean $20 million and give up 2 first rounders. We need Loomis to stay firm. Yeah, I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, stay true to yourself. I played a clip, and I'll go ahead and I'll play it again before we get up out of here. This was a broadcaster out in Arizona, and this is what he had to say when it comes to the deal that includes Sean Payton and the possibility of him being in Arizona.
Offer the Saints a second-round pick. Give him this year's second-round pick and get this thing done. Let's go.
Well, and that's
what you get, or else because Sean Payton's not going to get another job.
No, he's not. He's not.
You have a second-round pick this year. It's almost like a first-rounder. And that's it. Like, here's my offer to you. Second-round pick, or we're hiring somebody else. Take it or leave it. And I'm giving you 3 seconds to decide yes or no. Because if that's not good enough for you, we will hire Brian Flores or somebody else. I don't care what money you pay Payton. I don't care if it's 15, 20, 20. I don't care what the money is. I don't want to give up a first-round pick, but I'll give up a second. I mean, he's a great coach. He won a Super Bowl. He's got 9 playoff wins under his belt. He'll do wonders for Kyler Murray. I'm sure Monty Ossenfort's not worried about working with them. I mean, he's got connections here from being a ball boy that he's talked about. Go get it done. You're having lunch with him right now. Call up New Orleans. But you draw a line in the sand. You draw a line in the sand. Here's what I'm willing to give you. If not, then you don't get anything. Like, you get nothing. You lose.
So basically what he's saying is, they should just throw anything at the New Orleans Saints, so the Saints should just be willing to take it because nobody wants Sean Payton. I like the shock jock value of his delivery, but I don't think he really believes that when he step away from the mic. TJ, I know we bring it up, but give me a quick rundown of what exactly happens with the Brian Flores and Sean Payton situation. So what happened was, all right, so Brian Flores felt like he was unjustifiably fired, and he was fired because Sean Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, felt like he had a strong chance of acquiring Sean Payton. Well, Brian Flores found that out, right? Because Brian Flores one day went on a yacht, and he was supposed to have like some type of meeting with the owner. Turns out Tom Brady was out there, like they were supposed to be doing some collusion, and of course the whole throwing games for $200,000 or whatever, like throwing game for $200,000 a game, he was willing to pay him. Well, of course, Brian Flores is a man of integrity. He didn't want to do that. The plan was for Sean Payton, who wasn't talking like to Sean Ross or the Miami Dolphins personally, but it was some back channels, which means that could mean anything. That could mean like my agent talking to him, my PR person talking to him. He wasn't talking to them directly, but I mean, come on, man. It's like, that girl like you. You know what I'm saying? Like whispering, yeah, go tell your friend. Like then you go tell a friend. It's kind of like that, right? But the message get to the person. So anyway, that was the plan. But there was a wrench in the plan. They didn't expect Brian Flores to blow up the way that he did and sue the NFL and blow the whistle, right? And then, of course, I mentioned this before. Go back and take a look at it. The Huddle and Flow podcast with Jim Trott and Steve Weiss, where Sean Payton spoke very candidly and strongly about the lack of African Americans being head coaches in the National Football League. So how bad would that be, Chosen, if the guy who spoke so strongly about the lack of opportunity for minorities in the National Football League to take the bread out of a black man's mouth? So that's the reason why he didn't go to Miami, because it was a bad look. But if none of this stuff happened, if none of these things happened, he would have been in Miami, period. They just didn't expect Brian Flores to blow up the way that he did because, look, we know how the system is, right? It's very close-knit. Guys will defend the National Football League from, to from the rooter to the tutor, if you will. So they didn't expect for him to blow up the way that he did, because they're like, well, if you blow up, what's going to happen? Like, you'll never get a job again in the National Football League. That's the arrogance that they have. But anyway, that's the reason why. So Brian Flores blew the whistle. That's the reason why Sean didn't end up in Miami. That's the reason why they decided to go with Mike McDaniel instead of Sean Payton. And that's the reason why Tom Brady decided to go back to Tampa Bay. So that was the plan. And it blew up in their face. Sean Ross got suspended. And they also got fined and they lost their first round draft pick in the process. So that's what happened. All right. The take it or leave it thing is what got Arizona in the predicament they're in now. They need to try to land a good coach. I agree. And you don't just wait and then nothing happens. Cardinals just signed Flores. And I didn't know that. Well, that's interesting if they just signed Brian Flores. But wouldn't that be apropos? I tell you that if, Sean Payton was going to come to Miami to take Brian Flores' job, an opportunity for Sean Payton to go to Arizona and it's taken by Brian Flores. Boy, you talking about the irony of it all. I'm just saying if that was the case, I don't know. But let's see. Where did you hear that story? Did he sign with them, or he went go interview? I don't know if he's there or not. But anyway, we'll find out. We'll find out next episode of the State of the Saints podcast. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you for the comments, man. I mean, it's been crazy here today. 225 people watching this right now. Thank y'all so much. I ask that all 225 of you hit that like button, subscribe if you have not already. Really do appreciate your time. Thank you for everybody that stopped by, checked out the Therapy Couch podcast that came on before we did the State of the Saints. We had a good turnout there, had a good conversation. So if you want to check that out, please do on the State of the Saints podcast network channel. Also, previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. And you can follow me on Twitter at TJAYJones8. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. I am Joe Clark, filling in for the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And right now, all I gotta say is, you smoke crack, don't you?